Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see so many faces on this call. I just wanted to say good afternoon and good evening, and thank you everyone for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday. My name is Stephanie Fader, and I am pleased to welcome you to our first live event, IMmersive. We have heard your cry for continued connection, and we're just very excited to bring this to you. As people gather for the call, I'd love to ask them to be in a chair with a flat, firm seat to sit on it if possible. As we get into this session, you're going to find that really helpful as we go through these next steps. I'm going to kick this call now to Devora, our incredible director of the Integrative Medicine Elective Rotation, so she can get us started. Thank you, Devora.
Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you for creating this forum for us. As the director of the Integrative Medicine Elective Rotation at the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine, we have had an ongoing challenge of how to share the richness and the wealth of the information that we have and the talent that we have, not only with doctors who we're training and in the Integrative Medical Elective Rotation, the program that I am blessed to hold in my heart and on my mind. We train fourth-year medical students, residents, fellows, as well as a number of allied healthcare practitioners. But there's a much, much, much bigger collective out there who is really anxious to not only learn, but to practice the modalities that we are becoming sort of the stewards of. So I want to take a moment. I'm just going to take 2 minutes, literally. I want to introduce Liz to you. But in order to introduce Liz, I need to introduce Feldenkrais, Moshe Feldenkrais, whom I had the wonderful, amazing opportunity to spend a week with many years ago, and knew at that point that the work that he was doing was absolutely going to be like change the face of how we think about the body. And at that time, Moshe's work was as fringe could be. The Feldenkrais Guild, which does the training that I and we are most connected with and through whom Liz was trained, is a rigorous 4-year program. And I did bits and pieces of it for 2 years. And in 2 years, I was hard pressed to even explain what it was. That was maybe 40 years ago. Today, Moshe's work is in many hospitals worldwide and clinics, and is actually one of the breakthroughs in integrative medicine in the second half of the 20th century. So the fact that we've chosen Liz today to be the first offering in this immersive program is an opportunity to share with you why we chose the word immersive. So obviously it starts with IM, integrative medicine, and it's got IMER in it, which is the Integrative Medicine Elective Rotation. But more importantly, the elective rotation is a fully immersive experience in which we give our students, fourth-year medical students and residents, a month to not only learn the didactic components of allopathic integrative medicine, but have the time being the operative word, to experience their own care through these modalities. So it's not learning about Feldenkrais's work, it's actually experiencing it. And Moshe would not call it work, and he wouldn't call it teaching. They're lessons. And so Liz is going to be sharing with us not just her training through the Guild, but 30+ years of experience offering functional integration and awareness through movement lessons. And as an extraordinary teacher, you know, it's one thing to be a practitioner. It's another thing to be able to actually share what that learning is. So without any further ado, I share Liz Sisco with you this afternoon, and I trust we will have time afterwards to ask Liz questions, and then those who want to know more about integrative medicine at the Andrew Weil Center can stay on, and we have a few of our team available for you. But anyway, Liz, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for making the time. And I promise you, it will be worth every minute that you give to us. Promise. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Deborah. And thank you, Stephanie. And thanks to IMERS for including the Feldenkrais method in the rotation. And welcome everyone. Nice to see so many screens full of people. I'll take a stab at defining the Feldenkrais method in a minute or two, and Deborah can tell me how I do after. But the Feldenkrais method is an educational practice that uses movement and directed attention to enhance human functioning. The method's taught in two ways: as do-it-yourself guided movement lessons that we call awareness through movement, and as individual hands-on work that we call functional integration lessons. As Deborah mentioned, the method was developed by Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais, an Israeli physicist and judo master. And the Feldenkrais method taps into our neuroplastic potential. Your own body awareness and attention stimulate your brain to create new neural pathways that enable optimal movement and function. It's neuroplasticity at work. And Feldenkrais was ahead of his time in understanding that concept, that the brain can completely, continually throughout life learn and develop. So our method is through precise directed attention to a wide array of functionally relevant movement possibilities, a person is able to improve the brain map of their body. They get to know themselves better. And through that knowing of themselves, they get to create the kind of enhancements they need, whether it's in more physical ease or more well-being. So students find a variety of benefits from the method. Feldenkrais lessons can help you change your habitual habits of posture and self-use. It can improve your musculoskeletal organization and improve your physical comfort. Can improve your ease of movement and your sense of well-being. I venture to say that when people who explore the method discover their own ability to create positive changes in their actions, movement, and behavior, they begin to like themselves better. As Moshe said, improve movement, improve life. Feldenkrais lessons are very safe and gentle and suitable for people of all ages and abilities. So every one of you here today can experience a lesson and benefit from it. I'd like to begin to teach you a short lesson now, but before I do, I want to give you some tips about how to get the most out of it. So, awareness through movement lessons are unusual. Instead of using muscular effort, they rely on small, gentle movements done in a relaxed way to facilitate communication between your brain and your body. So with that said, you want to do each movement slowly. I'm showing you with my hand. You go slowly so that you can really sense and feel what's moving as you do the movement. So you take your time to sense and feel the details of the action. And you don't want to be hard on yourself. You want to be curious and open to being in the moment. You just simply want to relax and experience the lesson without judging yourself. Relax as much as you can. Reduce any unnecessary effort. This will help your brain to make important sensory distinctions. So what do I mean by reduce effort? Here, I could do this with my wrist all day long and probably not fatigue myself. But the minute I start going into a stretch and really starting to increase the effort in the range of motion, then the information going to my brain is stretch and effort. So we want to train effortless movement, and we want to move in a way that enriches sensory information. So you relax, you move slowly, and you do with ease. You don't push, stretch, or strain, or do any movement that is painful. A movement done in an inch or two of a range of motion sends all of the relevant motor information involved in that action to your brain. If the movement hurts, you visualize, because when you visualize an instruction, all of the sensory motor pathways light up, and you learn to light them up without pain. You want to pause between movements. This helps you stay relaxed, and it gives your system an opportunity to integrate what you felt and to refresh. Resting is important. So we take rest, even though we're not doing a lot of muscular work, we rest to refresh the brain, to give it the opportunity to integrate what's just happened, and to come back to the movement instructions with fresh awareness. Okay, and then finally go at your own pace. Feldenkrais lessons are all about you as an individual. So feel free to rest as often and for as long as you want. And if I'm moving forward with an instruction and you were really captivated by the last movement you were doing, then feel free to stay with it for a little while longer and then join us when you've had enough. So you are the boss, and it's all about you and your lesson. So with that said, please come to stand for a moment. Just stand up wherever you are. I don't need to see you. You just stand and do a simple movement of turning and looking over one shoulder. You turn, you look over your shoulder, and then you look back forward. Good. And then do that one more time and notice how to the same side. We're going to stick with the same side. Turn to that side and pick the spot you're looking at comfortably, and then come back to the center. That's going to be your reference mark at the end of the lesson. And now turn and look to the other side and come back to center. Do it just slowly 2 or 3 times, and notice, can you tell why you didn't turn this way in the first place? Why you have a habit of turning to the other side? But look to that side, just that easy, comfortable range, and find your spot on that side. How far do you turn comfortably this way? And when you know that, come and sit down. So come and sit on your chair. Come to sit on the edge of your chair so that you're resting on your sit bones. Your feet are planted on the floor. Your legs are about hip width apart. And your palms are just resting on your thighs. They're just resting comfortably on your thighs. And in this position, just begin to turn to look a little to the right and then back to center. You just look a little to the right and then you turn and you move back to the center. And see if you can coordinate the exhalation with the turning. So you're going to inhale as you're resting in center, and then you exhale and you turn to your right, and then you inhale as you come back to the center. Good, and you can do that with your eyes closed or your eyes open. That's right, you make each movement small and in a comfortable range of motion. And now the next time you're turned to the right, just open your eyes if they're closed and see how far you look. That'll be your reference movement sitting. Good, and then come back to the center. Open your eyes and focus them on a place in space in front of you, like look at the wall in front of you. Some of you are outdoors, look at the tree in front of you, whatever you look at. Now, keeping your eyes focused on that spot, you're going to turn your shoulders and your head a little to the right, and then you're going to come back to center. So your eyes stay forward, and you come back to center. So this brings up another famous thing Moshe said. When you know what you're doing, you can do what you want. So now, are your eyes staying forward or are they going with your head? Give yourself the time to look at that spot in front of you and let your shoulders and your trunk and your head turn a little to the right. And then everything meets back in the center. Are you breathing? Have you decided to hold your breath? Because this is unfamiliar. That is not an unfamiliar thing. That's what we do as humans. So exhale as you turn your head and your shoulders a little to the right with your eyes forward. And then inhale as you come back to center. And again, remember that idea that you only have to turn an inch. If you can turn 1/4 of an inch, but keep your eyes forward as your head and your shoulders turn, great. Good. Now, the next time you're in center, just go ahead and turn yourself to the right and back to center, and notice if that work keeping the eyes fixed in space changed how you turn or how far you turn. I see head shaking, great. Rest in the middle for a minute. Just rest, sense your 2 feet on the floor, sense your breath in your abdomen, in your pelvic basin, in your chest, in your back. Good. Place your hands on your thighs again if you've moved them. And now keep your face, your head and your eyes forward, and simply turn your shoulders and your torso a little bit to the right and come back to center. So again, are you doing what you think you're doing, or is your head going with your body? Your head stays forward, so you're all looking at me or looking at your object in space, and you're just turning your shoulders, your spine, your ribs a little to the right and coming back to center. And you're doing the best you can to coordinate that with your breath. So you exhale as you turn, and you inhale as you come back and rest. Do that several times, just noticing where you feel the turning now that your head isn't involved. So as you turn your shoulders, you feel the left shoulder comes forward and the right shoulder moves back. You might feel your sternum move a little bit to the right. The ribs attached to the sternum are moving to the right, and your spine is turning a little bit. How many distinctions can you make? Relax your legs. Good. Now, the next time you're in center, pause and take everything and turn it to the right and come back to the center, and just notice that keeping your head fixed, change how you turn, how far you can see now, what parts of you contribute to your turning. Good. And then come back to center, and you can sit back, put your back on the chair to take a rest. Get out of that more upright posture. Just find a way that you can sit in a restful manner. And if sitting is not comfortable for you, just stand up and walk around your chair. So that idea that a Feldenkrais lesson is all about you means that if I suggest something that doesn't sit well with you, then we have the flexibility and you have the ability to do what you need to take care of yourself and not just answer to the authority of the teacher's suggestion. Good. Come back to sitting on the edge of your chair. Plant your feet on the floor comfortably. And now begin to turn yourself a little bit to the left and come back to the center. So you just do it 2 times just to feel how turning to the left is different from turning to the right. And then on the 3rd time, if your eyes are closed, open your eyes and see how far you turn to this side. And then when you've picked that reference spot, come back to the center and pause. Just connect with the contact of your feet on the floor, your sit bones on your chair, the breath in your belly. And ask yourself, was turning to the left your easier way to turn, or was turning to the right your easier way to turn? And when you have a sense of that, pick a spot that you can look at in front of you and leave your eyes on the spot and begin to turn your torso and your head a little bit to the left and back to center. And keep connected to the breath. So as the eyes stay forward, you exhale, you turn your head and your shoulders and your chest a little to the left. And as you inhale, you come back to center and rest. Do that several times, just looking for ease and looking for pleasure in this movement. Good, and the next time you're in the center, pause, and then take everything to the left. Eyes, head, shoulders. Notice, are you turning farther? Are you turning with more pleasure or ease? I see some of you have turning chairs. That would kind of be cheating, you know, if you're swiveling on your chair. So you might just know that, right? That the chair is swiveling you. Good, pause for a moment. Now you're going to continue to turn to the left, but you're going to keep your head and your eyes forward. And you're going to take your shoulders and your torso a little to the left, just what's easy. Can you feel the turning in your spine and the sliding of your sternum? You feel where the ribs are attached, that as the right shoulder comes forward, the ribs on the left slide a little under your armpit. Just move in a way that you can sense what's involved in the movement when the head is out of the picture. Everything underneath your head turns. See if you can feel that. Good, and the next time you're in the center, bring your head and your eyes with yourself and turn a little bit to the left. And come back to center and ask yourself, what changed? Do that a couple times. Good, and then pause. Step thumbs up if we have a couple more minutes. Thumbs down if we, okay, well then we'll do one more movement. We want to honor your time here. So do this. Do a simple movement of taking your left knee and sliding your left knee a little forward towards your big toe and your long toe. So the left knee, the femur slides, it lengthens out of the hip and the pelvis just a little bit, and then it comes back. And notice as you do that, what happens in your pelvis, in your low back, and in your trunk, in your head. Does that sliding of the knee forward begin to turn you a little to the right? Just notice. Don't make it happen. Just see as the long bone of the left leg slides forward and the knee goes over the toes a little bit, what happens with the rest of you? Good. Now the next time you slide the left knee forward, begin to turn your shoulders and your head a little to the right. Keep your legs and your feet as relaxed as possible. Remember the coordination with the breath, that as you turn, you exhale. And as you return to center, you inhale. And see if you can let go of any effort in your neck or your shoulders. That's right. And feel as the knee slides and the pelvis turns to the right and you turn your head and your shoulders, do you look any farther to the right? And do you look with greater ease to the right, that your neck isn't doing all of the work? Good. Come back to the center and pause. And now do the same thing with your right knee. Begin to slide your right knee forward so it's moving in the direction of the big toe and the long toe on the right. And sense what happens in the rest of you. Sense as the right knee lengthens out of the hip joint and pelvis, it initiates a little turning in the low back, maybe in the torso. Don't prevent anything from happening, and don't make anything happen. Good. Now, the next time you slide that right knee forward, go ahead and let your shoulders and your head turn to the left. And then bring it back to center. Just slowly exhaling as you turn and inhaling as you come back. Good. No strain. Don't put any strain in your neck. Don't insist on going any farther than you do naturally and comfortably. Good. And now let's combine those movements. So you're going to take your left knee and let it go forward as you turn to the right. Your palms are just sliding on your thighs, and then you come back through the center. The next time you're ready to exhale, slide your right knee a little forward as you turn to the left. And remember that coordination with the breath. That will slow you down. As you inhale and center, and the length of the exhale, you slide a knee forward and turn to the opposite side. Inhale back and exhale, the other knee slides forward. That's right, getting in touch there with your own natural rhythm and pace. That's dictated by your breath. Good. And then come back, pause, come back to the center and just rest. Do what's ever restful. And notice now if you're, just rest. Don't notice anything. Notice that you can let it all go quickly. I mean, it is a fabulous benefit for someone in a busy medical practice to be able to rest in 30 seconds, right? To let it all go and then come back. So come back to the edge of your chair. Your feet planted on the floor. You're sitting on your sit bones. And just notice now at the end of our little experiment, how you feel in sitting. Do you feel any more upright? Do you feel any more comfortable? Do you feel less muscular effort keeping you erect and sitting? That maybe your neck or your shoulders are a little calmer or softer. Maybe the breath around your diaphragm and your pelvic basin expands a little more freely. Good. And then come to stand again. Bring yourself up to standing. Notice how you're standing now. How did what we did in sitting translate to your uprightness? And then very slowly go ahead and turn to the first side you turn to, and do it 2 or 3 times, just turning and coming back. And then on the third time, notice, are you turning farther than your original reference spot? Perhaps more of you is involved in the turning, that you're bringing in your shoulders and your pelvis, your spine. Good, and when you've noticed that side, go ahead and turn to the other side. Noticing that this is the side you didn't choose to go to first, and just see, did any of the movement in sitting improve the comfort or ease of turning to this? We would call it your non-habitual side. Good, and when you've noticed that, just walk around. We always like to integrate a lesson in movement. You might feel the turning in your walking. You know, turning is a human function that's involved in practically everything we do. So just notice what you notice in your walking. And when you come back to sit, we'll have turned the meeting back over to Stephanie, and I believe we have a few minutes to entertain your questions. And I want to thank you. This was a very brief movement experiment. I hope you got a taste of the Feldenkrais method, and that you'll join me in the IMERS program for the 3-hour version, a real immersion. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz, so much. That was awesome.
Yeah.
If anyone is interested in learning more, you can go to TucsonFeldenkrais.com. That's where you can find Liz, and she actually can put together a session for you. Now we'll get into questions. And so we had our first question come in. These questions will be directed towards Liz. And the first question comes from Elena. It comes more natural to me to inhale when turning left or right and exhale when coming back to center. Is this as beneficial as the instruction?
Well, Elena, thanks for your question. And the first thing I'd like to say is fabulous awareness. You know, noticing what you did spontaneously. For this movement lesson, the suggestion to exhale as you turn is because as you exhale, the air leaves your lungs and you have a little more space for turning in the chest. So it was a suggestion to help people to be able to turn a little more freely, because the muscles, the intercostal muscles, aren't stretched with the inhalation. The lungs are soft. So that's why it's used in this particular lesson. But always the first thing you want to notice is what you do spontaneously. And you did. That's great.
Always. Thank you. Yeah, you can submit any questions into the chat and I'll just read them out for Liz. The next question is from Elizabeth. And I agree, I struggled with this as well. I still don't know how to move my knee forward when sitting. Can you demonstrate?
Oh, well, I can, and generally speaking, we don't in the Feldenkrais method. You know, we want people to discover the movement for themselves. So I would feel better if I could watch you do it and talk you through it. So if you unmute yourself, I could put you on speaker mode and I could see you as the speaker. Would that work? Elizabeth, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you tilt your camera down a little so I can see your knee? And thank you for allowing me to put you on the spot. Yeah.
Sure that it will go down far enough.
Oh, okay. Well, just turn to your side a little so I can, yeah. If you turn your chair, okay, so now that's great. I can see plenty there. So let's work with your left knee. Just rest both hands on your thighs. And come to the edge of your chair. So you're sitting on the edge of your chair. Your back isn't supported by the chair. Good, and you just rest the palms of your hands on your thighs comfortably. And now with that left knee, just let me see how you do it. So when I say lengthen your left femur bone, the long bone of your leg forward, what do?
I lift up my leg.
All right, so that's up. Forward would be towards the wall in front of you.
I try to go forward, it doesn't really go anywhere.
Well, it's not a very big movement. I mean, if you think about the anatomy of it all, right, that you're trying to move the head of the femur a little bit out of the hip socket, and that pulls your pelvis with it. So just move it forward, keeping your foot planted on the floor. There you go. And now the next time you do it, just intentionally rotate your whole pelvis a little to the right. So as the left knee goes forward, turn your pelvis a little right and come back. That's right. Put your hand in your low back. Put your right hand in your low back. And now as you lengthen your left knee forward, feel your low back moving a little to the right and then back. And then, okay, that's great. Now move that left knee forward. And then come back. So do you have a more clear sense of that now? How it's the foot staying planted like you do when you walk, and your leg and your hip joint and your pelvis roll over your foot, right? If you want to think about it in terms of function, it's that functional movement.
It makes sense now. The key is keeping your foot planted.
Keeping your foot planted, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for explaining it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was awesome.
Did that help you, Steph?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. Okay, great.
Our next question comes from Sandra. What are the most common health conditions that we refer patients for this method? Chronic pain, people with bounce issues, etc.
Yes, chronic pain is great. I've worked in chronic pain clinics before. Just that ability of the method to help people quiet their nervous systems and feel themselves in a relaxed state. It's used for all kinds of musculoskeletal issues, anything from preventing surgery to post-surgical rehabilitation. It's used for cognitive improvements. So a lot of work is done with people who've had strokes. So we use it for that. It's used a lot for performance enhancement. So if your practice brings you athletes who are looking to improve what they do, or dancers or actors, the method has a long history of being used for performance enhancement. And I would have to say, I mean, I hope it doesn't sound like too grandiose a claim, but it's really useful for whatever a person wants to improve, which means as a practitioner, you can use your own creativity. Another big plus for it is anxiety and stress reduction. So PTSD, it's used in clinics that help people with post-traumatic stress. We have a lot of work that we've done around improving the ability to sleep, so people with insomnia can benefit.
Amazing. And I know Laura mentioned that Moish did amazing work with polio patients and stroke patients as well. Great question.
Right, and muscular dystrophy, MS, yeah.
Another question. I found myself yawning as I exhale as the experience went on. Is that typical or unusual to get tired?
That's fabulous. Congratulations, I'd say. You know, when you're really able to tune into yourself and let yourself relax, you'll often experience big, like a sigh of relief, or if you're sleepy, you might notice you're sleepy. Also, yawning, if everybody wants to yawn, it really expands the diaphragm and allows you to get a bigger breath. So you may have just been having some tension in your abdomen, and that yawn helped you to release that and free up some muscular effort for skeletal movement.
Awesome. This will be our last question, and then transition to talking about the programs, and anyone who wants to stay on the call absolutely can. Here's our last question from Costanza. In some cases, when patients have lumbar hernia, L5S1 rotations can be a problem. Can you share your experience with this type of patient and the method?
Well, I have a fusion at L5S1. So I would say that the method, it didn't prevent me from needing the fusion because I had a lot of degeneration in my spine, which I've had since a very young age. So the fusion took away all the nerve pain and allowed me to walk and move again. And the method helped me to quickly rehabilitate from the surgery and also to maintain a high degree of function and mobility moving forward. So I guess I'm a case study for that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. Again, if you're interested in learning more about this method, please go to TucsonFeldenkrais.com. If you have questions about the elective rotation, our fellowship, anything that we have to offer as a center, including online classes, you're welcome to stay. And we have people from our center ready to answer those questions. I will just give a shout out for our next session you'll see coming your way. We're doing an energy healing session with Reverend Janice Thomas. I had the pleasure of experiencing what you will be getting in August, and it was mind-blowing. And so I hope that you join us August 25th. It'll be at 12 p.m. So I'm sure my East Coast and international people will be excited about that, since it'll be lesser into your evenings. Thank you again so much for joining us. And again, please stay if you have questions about the center or any of the programs that we offer. Thank you again so much. And thank you, Liz.
Thank you everyone for coming. Hope to see
you.
you in the
Thank you.
Yeah.